All right. All right, guys, welcome in. I'm doing a late show, so I'm going to be doing a live one. Just quick thoughts, kind of the last stuff. This week, I think I've been very heavy on bare knuckle, BFL, kind of these smaller promotions. Not as much stuff in the UFC that I really like. So I just figured I'd do a live show. If anybody wants to get on here and chat, I can answer questions, whatever. But we'll run through this one. Keep it about 30, 45 minutes, something short, something easy. And then we should be back to normal. I was sick as hell. Everybody in my gym was sick as hell. Man, it's been tough on the bounce back too. Your lungs feel like they got a haze over them. So the cardio has been not so good, but feeling better now. Just rolled today. And now we're gearing up for tonight. All right. Yeah, kind of funny. It's just middle of the day today, but I'm sure plenty of people will see this after it's recorded. So as always, guys, we're gonna start from the bottom and we're gonna work our way up to the top. Okay. So starting with the first fight of the night, we have Diana Balbitza and Maria Oliveira. Now, this is a fight that I already have a play on. I played this actually pretty early. I couldn't believe this was the line, and not because I think the skill gap is immense or it's like going to be completely one-sided. I just see somebody that's got a very downward trajectory versus somebody you can see that's at least competitive in these fights and pretty close in these fights and really tries hard. I mean, at the end of the day with women's MMA, honestly, it's the physicality, it's trying hard, and it's volume a lot of times that does it. So I actually have a play on Diana Belbitza at like plus 109, I believe is the number that I got. I'm happy with that. No matter how this fight ends up shaking out, I'm happy with that. Plus money on the girl that throws a ton of volume, is a decent striker, does have a major hole, obviously, in the grappling, but I don't think Maria Oliveira is the one to exploit that. Maria Oliveira, man, look at her training. And I brought this up. So I actually did a 2-hour long podcast, or about an hour and a half podcast with Dan, Best Fight Picks, Half the Battle podcast. So go check that out if you guys want a little more banter, a little more back and forth. But man, when I cornered Vanessa against Maria, right, I got to spend a week with Maria, and it just seemed like the entire time she was just so much about the lights and the cameras and the excitement of fight week, and a lot less about the fight. And, looking at her Instagram leading up to that, it was a lot of training sessions at the PI. I don't know how regimented those training sessions were. So my impression of it was she wasn't training that much to begin with. She's a decently athletic girl. She's got some understanding of basics of striking, but doesn't seem like she's training that hard, right? And it looks like for this camp, she's been back in Brazil. Now, who's down in Brazil to hold her accountable? Where is she training at? Look at her Instagram. There's not one thing of her training. Now, do I think that's going to make a major difference? Not necessarily in terms of the actual fighting itself. At the end of the day, they're going to lock themselves in a cage, and she's going to have to swing at someone who's going to swing back on her, right? She's going to have to fight. But I guess what I mean is the mentality. And when you go into a fight, if you've done the work or if you haven't done the work, right? You just always know it. I don't think she's done the work. And I think that, watching her eyes when Vanessa fought her, she didn't want to be there. You could tell with her in between rounds. The only other time that I've seen that, I've got to corner a few fights, was Makwan and Mirkani. Makwan didn't want to be there. I could tell, right? I could tell he didn't want to be there. And then after he fought Camuelo, look what happened with his career, right? He got knocked out every fight. He's lost every fight. And now he's cut from the UFC. I saw the same thing with Maria Oliveira. Now, I cornered another fight too when Vanessa fought Silvana Juarez Gomez, whatever. I didn't see that with her, right? I would never say that about her because I didn't see that with her. But Makwan had the look in the eyes, I'm done. Maria had the look in the eyes, I'm done. Now, just as far as technically, right, she shot puts her punches. She doesn't, turn her punch over, sit down on her punches, throw with power. Everything's a shot put. Now, I do really like, watching the last fight, I will say Vanessa's not the greatest striker in the world. But Maria showed some good things, right? She was kind of swaying back, countering back, throwing in combos. She actually looked pretty decent on the feet in that fight. Looked a lot better. Like, I know this is a horrible comparison, but kind of not, right? She kind of looked like Anderson Silva, the way she's swaying back, countering back. It looked really, really clean. But I think Diana just throws so much volume and so many weird kicks and punches and angles, and not like she's this incredible world-class striker, but she just keeps throwing volume. You can tell she wants it. So for me, I'm very happy with my play on Diana Balbitza. We'll see how this plays out, but I really like it. All right, let me read some of these comments. It's Friday, baby. Fuck yeah. Yeah, it's Friday. Hell yeah. She's the Spider Girl for a reason. I know, that's exactly what I'm saying. She's the Spider Girl for a reason. I guess that's the closest comp that we have, right? Good. Hey, I'm glad you're listening to this on your way home. Hopefully, this could be a little bit of entertainment on your way back, talking some fights. I'm very excited for bare knuckle tonight. The thing with the bare knuckle tonight is there's a lot of unknowns, like a lot of guys that are debuters, first timers, really young guys. So man, the variance on bare knuckle is crazy. Now it gives you the biggest opportunity to make a ton of money, but man, it's sketchy, especially if you're parlaying and you're taking more risks, right? So good for single bets tonight for sure. All right, let's move on to the next fight. So I got Diana Belbitza. All right, next fight we have David Dvorak and Steve Ursic. This is a fight I wanted to play Ursic really badly. I just thought the number was pretty insane when he was in the plus 300s and higher range. But now as it's getting closer, it's harder for me to make a case. I have never been high on David Dvorak, right? I've gone through his record multiple times and I'm just like, man, he's fighting nobodies. He might as well be fighting, setup fights or fixed fights, right? That's his whole record. You look at his actual skill set. What does he do well? What does he do really good? Not much. I think his best traits are that he's a big flyweight and he jabs and he's tough, right? And that's solid. That's going to win him a lot of fights, right? Guys are going to gas out and then he's going to come on late. But I think there's a major hole in his grappling. And, we can say, okay, well, he's super tough. He gutted it out with Manel. Manel and Steve Ursic are completely different matchups, completely different fights, right? Manel hit that Kimura. That was really, really tight Kimura, but grappling's not really his go-to, right? He's a phenomenal striker. I think he's one of the best flyweights in the world, but he's not a grappler. And Steve Ursic is a grappler. And even if you want to say, okay, Manel's a black belt or whatever Manel is, right? Their grappling styles are completely different, right? He's going for a Kimura from the bottom. Steve Ursic's a swing to the back kind of guy and choke you out. So, man, I think there is value here. I was seeing the number, plus 600 on Ursic's submission. Man, I think that's a great play, right? Everyone's going to give credit to Dvorak's durability, but we haven't really seen him in a fight like this, in a matchup like this. A guy that's really crafty, sneaks to the back. He's not the worst striker in the world, is fast. And then on Half the Battle, we were talking about his fight with Haddon. I think that's his name. Cody Haddon. And, Dan was like, well, he gassed out. He got really tired in that fight. And Haddon's only 2-0. He's a young kid. Man, I think that kid's really talented. I think he was a really, really good boxer. I think he's athletic. I think he was a big flyweight, and Ursic took that fight on short notice. He won the first pretty easily. Second round, he lost. And then third round, he gutted it out, did what he had to do, got on top and dominated and won the fight. So, I think Ursic is a really good dog shot here. I love that submission line. I think if he's going to do it, that's the way he will. If not, I think maybe you start looking at Dvorak like round three kind of stuff, because maybe he does gas out, right? Maybe he does fade a little later with that jiu-jitsu style. We see that all the time. So I don't love this fight for a big play. I think I'm going to take a stab at Ursic's submission. And other than that, I'm going to avoid this one. All right, let's look at some of these comments. What's the best bookie for BKFC? Well, that's a tough answer. If I had a DraftKings account, I would hit DraftKings. Right now, my favorite book for bare knuckle is actually BetMGM. BetMGM does live betting. They don't pull down the lines. I just got a fresh MGM account, so I have good limits. So I really like that one. I use BetOnline a lot, especially because BetOnline has BFL and we can parlay everything. So I think that's where my money's coming from this week is BetOnline. Glad you're well. Thanks, Mike. I saw you wishing me recovery. That was bad, man. For a couple of days, I was like dreading going to sleep because I was like, I can't breathe, I can't swallow. That's how bad it was. So I was off for a week, couldn't talk, couldn't do anything. What's your favorite bet on the whole card? I think we'll get there. I'm not sure if I really love this card as in terms of betting. Did you have COVID? I don't know if I had COVID. I'll be honest. I've had COVID like 3 times. The first 2 times I was like begging to have COVID because I wanted 2 weeks off work. This was in the early times. And I got 2 weeks off with no symptoms. I was sick for a day and then I was good after that. So I was super pumped. The third time I got COVID, I was on death's door. And actually that is what this last sickness felt like. All right. I feel like Dvorak gets exposed soon. Not sure it's Ursic. Yeah. I agree with you. I mean, I think Dvorak's been getting exposed. But Ursic has a complete different style than the rest of those guys. Same thing in the hospital. Oh yeah, that's tough, man. Oh, my hair's on point today. Yeah, I don't think so, man. I haven't got a haircut. Tino came to the gym. He was just in Tampa, Florida. He came back and he goes, man, looks like you've been having a rough time because I haven't shaved my face. My hair's grown out. Everything's crazy. Yeah, no Santino. Yeah, I owed Santino one. He covered for me last week, so it's me this week. All right, let's move on, guys. So I think I'm give a pick. I'll pick Steve Ursic just to be a little bit different, but I like the submission play from him. Otherwise, it's going to be small. All right, next up is Blake Builder and Kyle Nelson. So the entire world is on Blake Builder. One of these days, I'm hitting the 11 leg to make a milli. Wouldn't be able to. That you haven't shaved. Oh, I know, dude. I barely have any facial hair. In person, you can see it a little bit more. It's just disgusting, but yeah, still haven't shaved. Haven't got a haircut. Hold on, let me mute this chat. My phone is synced up with my laptop, so it's just dinging like crazy. My mom, of course, never talks to me and then decides to light me up right now. Okay, so let's talk Blake Builder and Kyle Nelson. So Blake Builder, man, I think his time is definitely coming, right? He's a little bit older. He's not like he popped into Alliance MMA like 10 years. I've heard a lot about him. I have actually our producer used to train with Blake Builder, and he said that dude was just crazy hard worker. He would hit 4 sessions, right? The problem that I have with Blake Builder is that his training is segmented, right? Like a lot of the California gyms, you go to one place for jiu-jitsu, one place for wrestling, one place for boxing. There's not a place that does everything. And there's not really a ton of MMA coaches. There's segmented coaches. I think the dude is in amazing shape. I think he's gritty. I think he grinds things out, but it hasn't been long. I've been trying to fade him since CFFC. I was pretty upset. I played Frank Buenafuente, whatever, in CFFC, and losing that one is pretty tough, right? Where he gets dominated the entire fight and then comes back with like a Hail Mary triangle. Insane. But looking at this matchup, man, I wouldn't feel comfortable parlaying Blake Builder at all. And I definitely wouldn't feel good enough for a straight bet on him either. So I would probably avoid this. I think he's going to win. I think he's a little bit more dynamic, moves a little bit better. I think he pushes a bigger pace. And Nelson keeps everything in front of him, right? You can know 10 minutes in advance what Nelson's going to throw at you. He's a little bit stiff, a little bit slow. The one place I think this could get interesting is if Nelson grapples, right? We saw Buenafuente ride out on top of Blake the entire time. And he was comfortable on his back, just chilling. I think Nelson's a big, strong guy. So that could make things a little bit interesting. But I think Blake Builder is going to do just enough to grind it out. I don't know if he's going to finish him unless it's a submission. I could see a submission from Blake Builder. His jiu-jitsu is very crafty. As we saw with Alex Morgan on the Contender Series, that was a slick back take right to the sub. But yeah, I'm not in love with this fight. I could see this going a million different ways. So I'm going to pick Blake Builder, not with a ton of confidence. Now, I've seen some people say that his chin is horrible. it's not the greatest in the world, but I don't think Nelson's the one to really show that. I think if Nelson wins, it's going to be Blake on his back, accepting the bottom position. But truth be told, I just think he's way faster, a little bit cleaner boxing on the feet. So I'm going to go Blake Builder on this one. All right. Next up, I can't really chat about this one too much because AQ Ichilang is a teammate of mine, and he's fighting Ayman Zahabi. I'm a big Zahabi guy. I think Santino and I were two of the few guys in the world that picked Zahabi over Ricky Turcios at the time, right? Before everybody knew who Ricky Turcios was. I was off the Ricky Turcios train and actually picked him against Draco as well, bare knuckle legend. I was off the Turcios train, and I think I'm back on the Turcios train. I think he does actually a lot of kind of cool stuff. He had one fight where he looked insane, but and it was that fight. But I like him now. Zahabi looked like shit on the scale. I mean, man, he's 35 now. You know, it's getting tougher to cut weight for the boy. How good do we think Canada is going to do this week, right? We got BFL, where all the matchmakers are going to be watching those guys to get a UFC contract. And then we got a few Canadians on the UFC card. All right. Anyways, AQ, I just told this on Dan's show. AQ hits like a freaking Mack truck, man. The guy is massive. He hits so hard. He was lighting me up with calf kicks like as hard as he possibly could. And then I asked Eddie Chaw, like, what's wrong with this guy? And he goes, did he punch you? I said, no. He goes, well, then I think he likes you then. So Saidi going to DWCS if he wins. Yeah, that fight's not listed on Tapology. So I've almost finished with BFL. I'm going to look at that one. I know obviously he already beat him and he's not too chalked of a favorite, but I need to know how many rounds. Random person, do you know how many rounds the Saidi fight is? Saidi will win. Yeah, I think so too. I think there's a lot of good picks. I really like that girl, the amateur girl, the underdog, first fight of the night. What's her name? Ashley Watkins. I love her in that spot. She's a man. Hey, random person, just because I'm chatting with you guys. Random person, that first fight, was he winning all the rounds before he got the fourth round knockout, or was it like pretty competitive, pretty close fight? If you could answer that for me, because I know it was 5 rounds and it was a late finish. So let me know if it was a close fight. I'll have to go back and watch. Canada goes 2-4 today. Rod Torque, are you talking about on what are you talking about on BFL? I've only seen the finish. Okay. What watch are we wearing today? Okay, yeah, let's talk about the watch rumors. I saw some people talking shit in another Discord saying I got the date just on. No. Come on. This is the day date. This is a Rolex Presidential day date with custom diamonds on every single one. It's beautiful. It was competitive. Okay. Yeah, we're going to have to go back and watch it. So maybe there's some value, but I really like me some Ashley Watkins. She's I got some good numbers on her. I like a few people with really good odds on that BFL card. Alrighty, guys. Next up, we have Jasmine Jazz Divisius and Miranda Maverick. All right. The more that I've been thinking about this fight, so on Half the Battle, I picked Jasmine. I think there is some value on Jasmine, and I played I played her spread. I still think that's a good bet. Her spread, but man, I have issues with both of these girls. I think I said this. Miranda Maverick is so boxy and slow and just like awkward striking. And then she bulldogs people, right? Takes them down, gets their back, and that's how it goes. I think her jiu-jitsu is good. I think her wrestling is good for a woman, but man, she's not fighting Sabina Mazo, and she's not fighting Shayna Young here. She's fighting a girl that at least can wrestle a little bit. I think that, the talk of Jazz's wrestling is way overblown. I don't think she's a phenomenal wrestler. She's a little bit slow. She has kind of bad cardio. If you watch like later in her fight, she gets tired all the time as you get to the second and third round. But I like the striking. If Jazz would just throw a million jabs, man, I would be so happy. If she would just counter wrestle and throw a million jabs, I'd be thrilled. I think she can win this fight. I think there is value in this dog, right? In Canada, if she can counter wrestle, if she can defend takedowns, if she is willing to strike with Miranda. But the one thing that I really like about Miranda this week is actually her confidence, right? She's on Twitter like, all right, well, watch me go do this. I like a fighter that just feels that way. Like, I don't care what you guys say. I don't care what you guys think. I'm going to go out and prove it. Good luck for her to stop me. But yeah, Maverick decision is probably a good bet. I don't think she's going to finish Jazz. Jazz took an ass whooping from Natalia Silva, right? I think the only difference here is actually the jiu-jitsu of Maverick, right? She's a brown belt, maybe a black belt by now. And I don't rate Jazz's jiu-jitsu very high, but I think she's big enough, scrambly enough, and strong enough to last till the end. So I think Maverick decision is probably a good one here. So I played the spread on Jazz Divisius. I picked her on half the battle. I think I'm maybe gonna switch my pick here on this chat as I've had more time to think about it, and I'm gonna go Miranda Maverick. Decision I think is a great pick. All right. Next up, we have Nassourdine Imavov and Chris Curtis. Let's take a look at good old Nassourdine. Joaquin Buckley, Edmund Shabazian, Ian Heinisch, Phil Hawes. Yeah, I think, man, death taxes and me betting Chris Curtis. I'm always going to bet Chris Curtis. I think the guy is just like, when you say an ultra veteran, he's an ultra veteran of all ultra veterans, right? I don't think Nassourdine is that high volume, and I don't think the game plan is that clean for people, right? People forget Joaquin Buckley has he's a pretty good wrestler. Oh geez, did I just get on my phone? I think I like Chris Curtis here. His counterpunching, his boxing is so clean. You forget, right? If Imavov is just going to stick and move for 3 rounds, he's going to at some point have to engage, right? And Chris Curtis has already been beaten this way by Hermanson. He knows he can't do that again, right? He knows he has to be more aggressive. I think his body shots, the power, his fight with Kelvin Gastelum looked world class, and that was a toss-up fight, right? Anybody could have won that fight. I had bets on anybody could have won that fight, right? It was a real toss-up. That headbutt doesn't happen. Maybe we're talking about a Curtis decision. So Extreme Couture has game plan versus Imavov 3 times now. Yeah, exactly. He just fought Strickland, and Strickland's a really different fighter, right? He kind of just wore him down, forward pressure and jabs. The thing that I like about Curtis is he moves his head and he puts combos together. I guess he is kind of low volume, but he's just a counter puncher, and his punches look so big. They look like big moments every time that he throws. So I actually got reverse line movement on this one. I got Chris Curtis at a barely plus number, and now it's moving the wrong direction. I think this is good for me. I'm going to play it again. I don't think Nassourdine's going to take him down, right? Which is sometimes what he reverts to when things aren't going his way. He gets tired, and he hasn't been hit with body shots like Chris Curtis can offer. I really like Chris Curtis. I don't think Imavov even has that volume, right? Hermanson is the little engine that could. He'll throw a million punches, high volume. He'll wrestle, he'll do jiu-jitsu, and he never gets tired. I think that Imavov, to keep that kind of pace, that's asking a lot of a guy who doesn't have the greatest cardio, and you're going to add in the body shots there. So for me, I really like Chris Curtis. I could see Chris Curtis finishing him here. But yeah, give me Chris Curtis. You going to play Balbitza again? Yes, absolutely. I'm playing Balbitza again. Did I play her before? Why are you saying that? Who did she fight last? Gloria De Paula? I would never play Balbitza against Gloria De Paula. You're crazy. GDP is my GOAT. I played GDP in every fight ever, and it hasn't really worked out that well for me. She keeps getting robbed. I'm sick of it. She got robbed against Maria. She got robbed in Invicta. It's horrible. That girl is good. All right. Moving up, we have Eric Anders and Marc-Andre Barriault. Okay, well, this is good. I'm kind of glad we waited a little bit for this one, right? Hearing Anders talk during fight week. No, I am saying bet her again this week. Am I gonna re-up on my bet? I don't know. I think I have 500 on her or something. So I don't know. Let's see how bare knuckle goes. Then I'll get crazy. I always judge how hard I'm going to play a UFC card with. Hope Curtis loses in spectacular fashion, but got him on the money line. Well, I don't know about you. I like my money, so I don't hope he loses in spectacular fashion. I hope he wins in spectacular fashion. Okay, yeah, let's talk about this one. So this fight, if all things are equal, it's really hard to find an edge, right? when you watch Anders fight Dawkins, it's not just because it's Dawkins and Dawkins is fragile. Anders actually looked good, right? For years and years, we've talked about how slow Anders looked and how stiff he looks, and his cardio is not the best. But I mean, watch that fight. His takedown defense looked really good. He's looked really good in his last few fights. His striking looked good. He was cutting angles and then firing off the break. Like, he looked clean as hell. It was a really impressive fight. And honestly, it's not how I kind of thought that fight was going to go. Right. And then you look at Mab. It's weird. Mab is like, who's that guy? Prochnio. Like, he lost a ton of fights in a row, and then the UFC still kept him around. I don't know. They see something in him, and I don't want to say that Mab is Prochnio, because Mab is a million times better than Prochnio. Did they fight? Maybe I'm talking out of my ass. Did he lose to Prochnio? Oh my God, that would be horrible. No, I don't think so. Right? Okay. No, we're good. We're good. Yeah, I think Mab is a million times better than Prochnio. I love Mab. I bet Mab every single fight ever, except for against Fluffy. I just didn't think he was going to win there. Just that pace, that grind. I don't think that Mab has the cardio that everybody says that he does. I talked about this with Santino, talking about Jonathan Pierce, right? Jonathan Pierce doesn't have the greatest cardio of all time. He's got very good cardio. It's not the greatest of all time, but he drags guys into such deep water, and they fade and they break way before he does. And I think that's how Mab is, right? He's fighting bigger guys that try to kill him. Mab's got a chin on him most times if he's not fighting Chidi. And then he kind of drowns guys. He hockey punches them. He clinches them. Sometimes he goes takedowns. I like me some Mab. I love his fight style. I've actually tried to model my own fight style after that. Just be big and in the pocket and just another women's MMA bet Brandon is going to be laughed at for. I mean, dude, I got plus money on her. Fuck off. Like, who cares? If you're going to hinge your entire bankroll to a women's MMA fight, then you got something wrong with you. And I'm not even playing this card hard anyways. I'm not going to get laughed at for it. Like, it's not my identity. Deanna Balbitza is not my identity, man. I'm going to take the girl that's training over the girl that's just chilling in Brazil taking selfies. All right. Okay. Anyways, yeah, I think I like Mab here. From what I'm hearing, Anders is pretty beat up, and that's all I can say on that one. You look at his fight week, he's all banged up, and he's talking about retirement and his kids and how he needs to spend more time. I think the dude is pretty well off. He's made a lot of good investments with like houses and stuff like that. So I don't think that he needs to fight really. So I don't know why he's taking this fight if he's not feeling so good, but I think I like Mab here. Mab actually had a much cleaner jab than I remember, right? In that Marquez fight, I thought he was getting his ass beat, and he kind of did for the first round. But his jab was clean. One thing he does do is he leaves open his body, which is interesting, but I don't necessarily think Anders is the one to expose that. Man, I just think Mab's a lot hungrier, right? The dude's got something to prove. He's trying to get himself back in the conversation for anything, maybe a top 15. Yeah, give me some Mab. I'll take some Mab here. Oh, and Anders is not at Fight Ready anymore. He left for the MMA lab. Okay. All right, let's chat the next fight. Dan Ige versus Nate Landware. Who's your three most confident picks? I don't know, man. I don't really like this card. If I had to go three confident picks, I'd probably go Ige. Dude, there's not three like confident picks on this card, to be honest with you. Go like Nunes, Ige. Fuck. I think all of these are risks. That's probably all I like is Nunes and Ige. Everything else kind of a toss-up. I wouldn't play Builder at chalk. Dvorak's got some holes. I mean, Dvorak probably wins. Probably Balbitza. I don't know, man. I wouldn't. You gotta just play this card light. Nate the Train in the UFC. Herbert Burns finished Nate. Yeah, guys. I think this one's kind of a don't overthink it, right? Ige is Ige, right? He has this whole stops coming as fuck. He competes with top guys in the world. He's willing to go through hell to get there. And then you talk about Nate Landware, and that's his whole claim to fame, is going through hell to get there, right? He gets dropped in every fight, gets put on death's door, and then just kind of comes back and is bigger and tougher. And that's his game, right? He's a submission guy now. Like, he's a newly found submission guy. He's going to let you get tired, beat you up, take you down, choke you out. I just think Ige is too talented on the ground for that, right? I think his cardio is actually a lot better than like people give him credit for. I think his hands are way too clean for Nate, who gets hit a lot. I don't think Nate's going to be able to do the same thing to Dan Ige as he does to Austin Lingo. I think the level of competition is not even close, and maybe we're getting a gift line on Ige. I don't think Ige is even knockout or bust, right? In a lot of these matchups, you want to choose the guy that's just going to be in your face and slinging volume, and you don't want to count on a guy getting a knockout, because sometimes it's hard to knock out these guys that are top in the world, right? But I think Ige's skill for skill is actually better than Nate almost everywhere. So I have a play on Ige KO, which I think is a great play, but just Ige in general, I think is a really, really good piece here. His takedown defense looked really good in his last fight. His cardio is holding up. He always kind of kicks it on in the third round. Man, his hands are clean. His boxing is tight as fuck. And then this is something I said on the show too, and maybe we bring this up every time Ige fights, but Santino told me after Zombie fought Ige that Ige is the hardest puncher that he's ever fought in his entire career. And he dominated Ige, but he said, yeah, that guy is the hardest puncher ever. So yeah, I got Ige here. I really like that play. All right. I think. All right. Let's see. Am I back now, guys? Sorry, this is insane. I just moved into this new house, right? I just got this freaking new house, and I got internet, and I got the best possible package that you can. They charged me like $200 something a freaking month. And I said, guys, I just don't want any lag. I can't even use my own phone in my house because the internet is so freaking bad here. My laptop is freaking crashing all the time. This is a brand new laptop. My girl is on she works from home now, so she's using internet, but it's just horrible, man. I got to refresh this stuff. Being rich is just, it's not as glamorous as people think. I still go through normal issues. Just kidding. I'm not rich. Scott got a lot of work to do. Do I think Zahabi loses by low volume? Dude, I'm next to my Wi-Fi. I'm like literally like 2 feet from my Wi-Fi. And this is actually crazy. One night I was sitting in my room and the connection to the TV went out. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, this happens regularly where my internet goes out, so my TV goes out, right? So I go downstairs to like check the router and unplug it, and the thing was already unplugged. My girlfriend thinks that my house is haunted. The thing was unplugged, and it's one of those clips that you got to pull out. I was a little scared, man. I live on a mountain, and these guys moved out from this perfectly nice house. I'm like terrified a little bit. So anyways, Clint is in his house. Give us a house tour. Maybe someday. My house is pretty dope, man. I'll be honest. I love this house. Starlink. Burn the router. I know, you guys, I have the best router and like the best. I got the best. I just don't do anything cheap. I go everything the best I possibly can, and I can't use my own phone in my house. It's crazy. Hi, yeah. I live in the hood, kind of, so maybe that's why the government. It's a conspiracy to keep poor people poor. I live in the hood. All right, let's chat. Let's chat this Mike Malott and Adam Fugitt fight. I just think it's crazy. One of the narratives that I really like betting is you're building an old Apache burial ground. Yeah, maybe. And I dug up the ground. That's why my neighbors hate me. They're like, you should wait to get your backyard done. And then the next day I had them all coming in to do my yard. So they hate me now. Maybe that's why I covered their ancestors. All right, let's chat this Malott and Fugitt fight. This is a narrative that I really like to bet into, right? Sometimes when I get burned by, in a setup fight, right? This is clearly the A side. This is clearly the B side. This is supposed to be a squash match. It shouldn't be close, right? And then the B side wins. Pisses me off. When the B side wins 2 times, it really kills me. And then the third time, it never works that way, right? I think, Fugitt looked really good in his debut. At least relative to the level of prospect that he was fighting. Now, I don't think Michael Morales is the greatest guy of all time. I've picked against him in a few different fights. But Fugitt looked good for a debut. He was a lot more game than people gave him credit for. He knocked the fuck out of Solomon Renfro right before he got to the UFC. And then he beats, Kinoshita? All right, so now we're 2-1 with one competitive fight against these prospects, right? They keep bringing him in to lose to, and he's done it time and time and time again. Do we think the Lightning's going to strike again? The best example that I have of this is Austin Worms, right? Austin Worms kept armbarring these prospects that's supposed to beat the shit out of him in the first round. It was crazy. It would just piss me off. They would knock him down. They would beat his ass within an inch of his life, and then he would armbar him, right? So then after that, it was like the easiest thing ever. Like, all right, now we're having a decent line. Like, let's smash this. I'm not sold on Malott. And just, being honest, I have a play on Fugitt at plus 277. I got this when it first came out. I knew that where the line was going to go. I knew, if you just play narratives with these openers, right? You got to just play narratives. I would say probably 7 or 8 out of 10. I can hit the line every single time. I can always beat the line movement, right? Like, for example, Balbitza, I got a good one. Fugitt, I got a good one, but I lost on Chris Curtis, right? So I can beat these most times, especially on the regionals. I knew Fugitt was going to be the dog of the week. Everybody loves Fugitt, right? He knocked out Kinoshita, he beat the hell out of Kinoshita and had a close fight with Morales. But Lightning's not going to strike for a 4th time. I don't think, right? This is in Canada. They're setting up Mike Malott. The one thing I just know is, like, people know things inside the gyms, right? It's not just, from what you've seen in his fights. People know things inside the gym. They know where Malott's skill level is, and they're giving him a fight where he can win. I think he's a little bit slow, a little bit low volume. I'm not super convinced on his striking. I think he takes too much damage. But this narrative that he's going to have the worst cardio ever after the first round, we don't know. He could, but we don't really know that yet. Pardon me. Yeah, we don't know that yet. The one thing that I liked is he was really patient, right? He was really, really, really patient. That's why the Terrence McKinney fade was so easy, because nobody on earth can fight like he fights for 3 rounds. You can't put together 15 minutes like that. It's just not possible. You fight like that, you got 7 minutes and you're fucking toast. Okay. Malott, the way that he was fighting his last fight was very calm, very calculated. His jiu-jitsu is excellent. The thing that I think we're going to have an issue here with Malott is actually maybe his wrestling, right? And I saw somebody on the comments say that, oh, okay, Malott was at Team Alpha Male, and now he's at, Niagara Top Team, and they're both wrestling gyms. But, like, not everybody from Alpha Male can wrestle. There's some guys that can wrestle and wrestle really well, and they have a lot of wrestlers, but it doesn't mean they can all wrestle well, right? If you look at the mechanics of what he was doing against Johan, who's got maybe the worst takedown defense in the history of takedown defense, he just kind of hit like the the little leg scoop. Now, it was a good leg scoop. He kind of dragged it out like we like to do. Like when Santino teaches the leg drag, we actually do it like Damian Maia, right? Where you scoop that leg and then you pull it all the way to the other side. And he did it. But what was weird about it was like a body lock kind of thing, right? It wasn't like he just got the leg. It was like a body lock and just turning him. So I don't know where his level of wrestling is quite yet. I know where his level of jiu-jitsu is. I think his jiu-jitsu is phenomenal, right? You see that guillotine? That's such a gorgeous submission that he hits. But man, I think this is Malott's spot to win, right? I think he gets on top one time. Man, it's hard to see him not winning this. Even slow and steady, throwing kicks. I think he's a little bit faster than Fugitt. So I have a play on Fugitt at plus 277 just because I felt like this was a wide line. But I think in hindsight, we're just going to be like, man, what were we thinking? Trying to back up the Brinks truck on Fugitt. And that's crazy that the money's moving that way. I think this is Malott's spot. Malott's fade is coming, but I don't think it's here at all. All right, guys, let's move on. We're already at the co-main event. So Charles Oliveira and Beneil Dariush. This is a tough one for me because this one's pretty near and dear to my heart. I remember after Worlds, I took third at Nogi Worlds, and then the only thing I wanted to do was take a picture with Beneil. So I have this picture, I think like 2015, maybe 2016 with me and Beneil. I love Beneil. Such a cool guy. And then Charles Oliveira was like the reason I even wanted to fight MMA. I was only doing jiu-jitsu at the time. It's all my mom would let me do until I turned 18. But I was like watching Charles. I was like, man, someday I want to be that guy. Clean Muay Thai, clean striking, a lot of submission heavy game. Like I love me some Charles. I feel like the entire betting world is on Beneil. But the casual world, right? The people that just play for fun are all on Charles, right? Charles is the big name. This is kind of the same thing we saw last time when he fought Islam, right? Everyone's like, oh no, Charles is going to do it. And they fall in love with the pictures and he's looking like Jesus during the weight cut. It's like a lot of that stuff's overblown. Like it's weird shit. At the end of the day, they have to get in the cage and fight. And you have to look at skill for skill, what's going on with each of the guys. Charles has like an awful chin, but he fights through it weirdly. And then, oh geez, I lost my train of thought. Sorry, Marty. I was reading your thing. Dariush fought the decision against his last three opponents, and Oliveira finished Chandler, Poirier, and Gaethje. I don't see Dariush winning against top 5 level. It's going to take him out or win by decision. Yeah. So this fight is, I don't think it's as cut and dry as people think, right? People watch how gangster Beneil was. I think almost people are falling in love with Beneil and just how fucking cool he was last time, right? He's just slinging Gamrot off him, beat the shit out of Gamrot, like just looked like a stud. But you have to consider the matchup at hand. It's a completely different fight, right? And same thing with Islam and Charles, right? Islam is just a dominant wrestler. I don't know how anyone thought that fight was going to be competitive, right? Islam's not a bad striker at all. Great gringo. Get ready to get memed on your Balbitza bet. She was an underdog, dingo. Amorim was like minus 300. And I'll still bet Amorim again. I'm going to bet Amorim in like a month. I'm going to get it all back and then some. But anyways, man, I think Charles, the one thing that I worried about for years watching Benny, right? I've watched Benny's entire come up. I always worried how wide his striking was. He was getting hit all the time, right? He was going life or death with Drakkar, who Drakar's not a very technical striker at all. He's just kind of like a mean bully. And he was on death's door and then came back and got him. Man, Benny's always so freaking wide. And Charles is just clean and technical and beautiful as a striker. That being said, I would actually give the grappling advantage to Benny. I think Benny's wrestling is a lot better. I think his control from the top is amazing. One thing that Charles does though is he's always attacking, right? He's always attacking something. I don't know what to do here. I think I like. See, conventional wisdom tells me that Benny's going to win, right? He makes better decisions. He doesn't have this glass chin that I feel that Charles does, right? Charles is getting his eyes rolled back in his head almost every fight and then coming back to win, right? So fight IQ, just overall skills, I think I would go with Benny here. But man, I can see a world where Charles just puts him to sleep, right? He's such a clean, beautiful Muay Thai striker. His gym has been on the come up. We've seen a lot of good things from the gym. Man, he took down Michael Chandler. That left hook was crisp. I don't think a play on Oliveira here is the worst thing in the world. I guess it's going to depend on what kind of game plan that Benny comes out with, right? If Benny grapples offensively, I think it's a Benny fight. If he decides he wants to stand with Charles, man, things are going to get a little bit tricky, right? Things are going to get a little bit interesting. So, man, to pick a winner in this fight, I think is asking a lot. I'm probably going to go with Charles at plus money here. Man, his striking's gorgeous. I love it. If you can get chinned by guys like Gaethje, I think he's going to be okay. I'm going to go Charles Oliveira here. And I've changed my picks since the last pod. That way, when this is all said and done, I can just be like, yeah, but on this one, I chose the correct one. Okay. All right. That leads to the main event. Sam Hughes owns me. Yeah, she sure does, man. She kills me every freaking time. And I love Sam Hughes. I love me some Sammy Hughes. I bet her a few times, but I thought Estella was going to knock her block off. I think Sam Hughes owns Brazil, if we're actually kind of looking at it that way. She beat up a girl and her girlfriend. That was kind of crazy. All right. So we got the main event. We got Amanda Nunes and we got Irene Aldana. 35 years old is Irene. She's 5'9". She's a big girl. She's got pretty clean boxing. She lost to Holly Holm, beat Yana Santos, beat Macy Chasson. Man, before you go, what you think about this hobby fight? Man, I can't talk about this a hobby fight, man. AQ's a teammate of mine. I'm team Mongolia, man. I'm team China. Both. Whichever I'm training with that day. Yeah, this main event, I don't really understand the love, right? Going life or death with Macy Chasson, who I rate just so low. And the reason I rate her so low is because, man, she's got like a body that should be winning her a million fights. Just her body alone, just that big frame, her kind of skill set is good, and yet she disappoints and is so freaking bad all the time. I just don't understand it. It's horrible, right? I was huge on Aldana in that fight. I had my life savings on Aldana in that fight. And I was pretty much counting my losses. I was calling around to homeless shelters like, hey, you guys got some room for the night. But man, going life or death with Macy Chasson, the grappling there, right? She was kind of shooting shitty double legs and still getting her down, dominating her, going for the win. I just don't understand why this fight's even as close as it is, right? I guess we can see a world where Nunes gets tired on the feet and gets cracked. But man, I think the grappling is just the biggest difference here, right? Anytime that Nunes wants to take her down and control from the top, I just think it's easy. It's easy. She looks so clean against somebody who's just a crazy like scrambler in Pena, who's not good, but just annoying. Who's been you've been through some low moments, Planet Whisper? We all have, man. I got a ton of stories of going through it, but it does make you better. It makes you a little bit numb on the inside, and man, then you bounce back, and it's always glorious, always. Yeah, I'm just gonna cut this one short, guys. I think Nunes is the better fighter times a million. Irene's 35. She's going life or death with Macy Chasson, and Nunes. I've never bought into the hype of Nunes. I actually bet decent on I bet pretty decent on Pena in the first fight. I felt good about it, right? I had one parlay to close out like 15 grand. And I said, now like most people would just let it ride. And man, I didn't feel good about it at all. So I ended up profiting like 6,000 from that card because I hedged out on Pena. I just had a bad feeling. Second fight, I was like, man, this is not going to go the same, right? She had something to prove in that fight, right? She's trying to go all out and murder her. And when you do that, love the pronunciation on Chasson. How you say it? She's French, right? Chasson, Texas French. But when you go when you're trying to go all out and kill somebody, a lot of times it doesn't work out, right? You get so tired by throwing such big punches. We saw in her last fight just have a much more measured pace. She dominated in every aspect, check hooks, straights, takedowns. She just looked so clean. I don't see a world where Aldana puts it together, right? And beats her up for 5 rounds without getting out grappled, without getting submitted, without getting rocked on the feet. Man, this is an easy one. I think, and if you're going to include her in parlays, then it sets up, I guess, for another good hedge spot. But man, I think the skill level is way too. I think the skill level is way too big to bridge the gap between whatever narrative, whatever motivation you might have. And I think this line has influenced a lot. And I said this, I think I was the only YouTuber or one of the only YouTubers to pick Alexa Grasso, but I think this line is influenced a lot by the Alexa Grasso thing. I just think it is. And Alexa Grasso, I think, is a better fighter than Aldana. She just is. Better takedown defense, quicker hands, better fight IQ. I don't think it's the same thing. Okay. Thoughts on the up-and-coming fighter, Jonathan J. Ray Reynolds. That guy he's excellent, man. He trains at with Lucas Brennan. It's hard to not see that guy going pretty far in MMA. So I'll just chat with you guys for a minute here. Do you guys like the over here in the main event? I don't know, man. I think that's playing with fire to do an over because at any time she could nuke Aldana. Anytime she could take her down and submit her. Mateo, yeah, it is a different approach, but the rounds were close and at least competitive in that fight. I think there's such a big skill gap in the difference in the grappling between Nunes and Aldana. I don't think it's really that close. I'm going with hey Matt, I'm going with Curtis. I don't have a ton of confident picks, but I think Malott's going to probably end up looking like a good spot. I think that Dan Ige is good. It's going to be a little bit of a chalk week. I like some smaller bets, some plus money stuff. Thoughts on Rebecki versus Rajabov? I think I like Rajabov there. They both don't have amazing cardio, but I think Rajabov can push a little harder, and I think he's a better wrestler. As long as he doesn't get crushed in the in the first round, I think he should be okay. You think me and Mateo Vogel are the same weight class? I thought he's a 45er. Let's see what we got. Mateo Vogel, Ontario, Canada. Yeah, he's a 45er, man. What you talking about? I'm a 25er. Pro debut this winter. Yeah, I'm actually going to Hawaii at the end of the month. I'm going to Hawaii at the end of the month. I'll be there for the 4th of July for like 9 days. I had to take vacation for my charity. And then I will be back. I'm going to jump into camp and I'm going to hopefully make my debut. My ankle is feeling much better. I'm slowly getting back into training. And I've said that like 50 times and then I keep getting sick and I keep getting all this stuff. But and I'm excited to make my pro debut. I just want to calf kick some people and then take their back and choke them out. Parlay that you got just followed you on IG the other day. How do I find it? Matt, just send me a DM, dude. I'll send it to you. I finally put it in my favorites. I should just post it and then like put it under my little like highlights thing. But it was cool. I saw a lot of people saying like, "Oh, you only got this on pass posting. That's how you did it." You people got to use your heads. I had like a 15 or 16 fight parlay with 3 different events that started at all different times a day. When you identify a soft market, you got to crush it. That's how you do that kind of stuff, right? Tapatio, what's up, my brother? We need some boxing stuff today. C-Rod submits to South African, right? Yeah, I think so, man. But he said he wants to show off his striking, so we'll see how that goes. Viva Latinos. Hope you heal well. Thank you, man. This ankle has been tough. This is like a rare injury because I got a medial malleus break in my foot, which is a super rare injury. It's on the inside as opposed to the outside, but the bone healed up in really quick time. It was super, super quick, but the tendons were all torn in my ankle. And so the doctor had told me like, your x-rays look good. Go ahead and go back. So I went back and I started throwing low kicks. I taped up my ankle throwing low kicks, and I would come home and I could barely walk on my foot. I went to Vegas with the boot on, not using crutches. I just played this injury really, really bad and didn't give myself time to heal. And it set me back a lot, right? And I'm about to turn 27. So it's time to get going, man. It's time to do this, right? I spent a lot of time trying to fix my hand. I don't know if you guys can see my hand, but that's about as much as I can open this thing. So I took 3 years off trying to figure out what was going on with that. And at the end of the day, it's never going to get better. So we just got to jump right in. Vittori evades Cannonier and outpoints him, avoids KO and goes the distance. What's your favorite BKFC parlay for tonight? All right, Parlay Genie. Let me pull this up. So I'm just going to give you guys a quick tip. I'm feeling generous, kind of. So there's a new soft market, and it's BetMGM, because sometimes they make their own lines for bare knuckle. Oh, geez. I got a lot of messages. Yeah, I can't. Yeah, Planet Whisper. I can't open my hand. All the nerves in my forearm are dead. So I had to change my entire style. Like I went to jiu-jitsu today and I can't get my fingers over my bicep to actually finish a choke. So I had to develop my style. I do a lot of one-arm chokes now. All my grips are guillotine grips because I can't actually open my hands. So I spent 3 years. That's why there's a big gap in my fight history. And I started a sales job that took up a lot of time. So I didn't know if I was ever going to come back. And then I came back, made my debut against the #1 ranked guy in his hometown after 3 years off. And I won that fight. So it's a long time coming, and we'll get it. Okay, BKFC. So I like Leo Bercier. Leo Bercier? Jesus. He's like an Indian, like Native American guy from Montana, and his name is Bercier. That's crazy. He's like the ideal bare knuckle fighter because, man, I'm pretty sure he's a drunk. So he always shows up. You don't feel stuff. You don't feel like you get hit when you're drunk. Perfect. He actually boxes pretty well and rolls punches pretty well, right? I like Coda Greenwood, and not because I think Coda Greenwood is good, but Derek Gates is something that he's somebody that I've had my eyes on for a long time. He's one of the worst bare knuckle guys, and not that he actually looks bad when he throws punches, but the second that he gets hit with anything, he just goes down, right? He hasn't made it out of the first round. So I like Coda Greenwood. He's a hometown guy. At least he could go 5 rounds. 27, 86. He got the name from the French fur traders back in the day, probably. Maybe so. Montana's like the craziest place. I really wish we had more film on some of these guys, because the Montana cards are some of the best cards ever. It gave us the legendary Brandan Tovey, Derek Gates, right? It gave us some good guys. So I'm going to go Bercier, Greenwood. Let's see. I think Christensen should win, but man, it's really hard to trust a guy who loses by puking to literally the worst guy on the planet. Bryce Henry is a good one. And then in the main event, I really like Louis Lopez, man. I think Kai Stewart is so bad, and you guys are getting a really gift line here on Louis Lopez. Lopez, he does fight with his chin up the entire time, and he's on meth for sure. But again, you got to like a little bit of drugs when you're in when you're in bare knuckle, right? It kind of helps you. So yeah, give me Louis Lopez, Bryce Henry. Let's see. Leo Bercier, Coda Greenwood. Now, I also played Brady Meister. I think Brady Meister's awful, but Connor McKenna's got some mental health issues. He's got some disabilities. Mark Johnson versus Dorian Long is an interesting one, because I don't think Dorian Long is very good, and he's a very young kid, but he's athletic and he hits hard, and he's the hometown guy against Mark Johnson, who just got slept. But actually, weirdly, I thought Mark Johnson looked fine considering the guy he was fighting. So maybe Mark Johnson's an interesting dog play here. Gabriel Mota versus Sawyer DP. Sawyer DP has dropped like every guy that he's ever fought. He is just a bull in a china shop. He's a crazy guy. His problem is then he gets tired and then he gets beat up. So honestly, I think that fight is a landmine. If DP doesn't get Mota out of there in the first round, then maybe it's Mota's fight. But Mota's fat and he's really small, right? He's like my height, but he's fat. I did play Ryan Ibsen for the max. Here's the thing with Ryan Ibsen. Sorry, guys. We're just going to a little extra chat. We're just bullshitting. We just bullshitting right now. Ryan Ibsen is he's like an old school guy. Like, he hasn't fought in a long time, but he had a good record before. and a lot of submissions on his record, but his hands weren't bad. Now the thing with Dakota High Pine, right? High Pine's not a good boxer. He beat Coda Greenwood, who Coda Greenwood is horrible. Like he's actually awful. And the thing that I was seeing is that he was using like a lot of tall man defense, right? He just kind of like moving back like this, moving back. Well, Ibsen is actually taller than High Pine. So I can't remember. Let me log into my bet online. Let's see what I played this at. Oh, shit. This whole Google Chrome and Safari thing drives me insane. Let's see. I move a lot of these lines. I like it. Just small markets kind of changes things. So I put 500 on Ryan Ibsen at plus 180. He's plus 160 now. I don't know. It's just a shot. Maybe he's been boxing like nonstop and he ends up being super good. I just am not super sold on Dakota High Pine, and it's crazy because he's like my best friend on Instagram now. All right, and then let's see what else we got. I'll just chat all these fights really quickly. God, I'm so excited for BFL too. Jordan Christensen, Kerry Latimer. Kerry Latimer actually like throws bombs and some big punches. Jordan Christensen is he's like a kids coach at Extreme Couture. So I don't think he's very good. He's a little bit older. He's just he's got thug life tattooed on his stomach. Need I say more? But the thing that worries me is that Kerry Latimer's got a bad record, so everyone's going to bet Jordan Christensen, and then Kerry Latimer ends up being the one that just kills everybody, right? So I would tread lightly with that fight, just a wee bit. Bryce Henry is actually a legit good boxer. Billy Wagner, he can box a little bit too, but I think this is a pretty clear setup for Bryce here. Lloyd Mix, Dallas Davidson is pretty interesting. Lloyd Mix has a lot of good wins from back in the day, pretty tough dude. And Dallas Davidson, I've always felt is pretty overrated. So I played Lloyd Mix at like plus 220. I'm probably going to sit that one out. And then, yeah, the main event, Louis Lopez at a pick'em with Kai Stewart is kind of crazy. Kai Stewart's literally a wrestler and he can't box at all. Can't throw punches. And he's only beaten the worst guys on planet Earth. So the fact that line is so close is pretty crazy to me, even if Louis is like hanging with his jaw out and he's on meth and everything. But yeah, Mix is interesting. I'm not playing that fight big. So for me, the big ones are Bercier, Coda Greenwood. I took a shot on Meister. I played that one pretty decent. Maybe Dorian Long is, but maybe the value's gone there. I took a underdog shot on Ibsen and then Bryce Henry. So that's bare knuckle for today. And then Louis Lopez. Sorry, guys. Thank you for the picks. What are your best 5 picks for the weekend? Who the fuck's switching the lines right now, guys? I haven't got to keep loading up from my PFL stuff yesterday. But I don't see anything moving. I'm looking. I don't see nothing moving. Unless you guys are going to tag up Bercier, but no, we're good. Yeah, my top 5 picks. I posted some stuff in the Discord. I loved Per Grande last night and Impa, obviously. And then I parlayed that with my bare knuckle guys, my Coda Greenwood, my Bercier, my Bryce Henry. So that's like a 5 pick. So if I had to replace it, I'd maybe add Jordan Christensen. Guys, I love this BFL card. I'm telling you, for some reason, I'm in love with this Ashley Watkins bet. This girl, Rachel Hoffer, is bad. She's bad. Rachel Hoffer's bad. And this girl, Ashley Watkins, let me see if I can show you guys a picture. She's a boxing coach, and I messaged her. This is what she looks like. I don't know if you guys can see this. Let me see if you guys can see this. That's Ashley Watkins. She's a boxing coach. Her striking is like not the worst ever. And I don't think that other girl can take her down at all. At all. She's like so bad. And she's like a 10th Planet girl. 10th Planet is just like, man, if I lose to somebody from 10th Planet, I'm out. Yeah. You know what I'm saying, Kobe? It's like man strength. And that goes a long way. She can be had right now for plus 125. So I'm actually going to max that one more time. Geez, I took a shot on Derek Bergen as well. I got him at plus 250. He's now plus 140. I like that play just from a cardio. That's a 5-round amateur fight with a guy that gasses. Why not? I got Jason Giroux, the tanning guy or something. What I get him at? Plus 170, plus 150, plus 125. He's now minus 135. So that's clean. I actually would avoid this Joshua Lamb fight. That one seems a little bit tricky. I'm not going to avoid Xavier Nash and Achilles. Achilles got a little bit of cardio problems, but he does fight hard. Man, everybody steamed Seide to minus 305. Interesting. This Esteban Sedano is a pretty interesting play too. He's a good fighter, man. He really is good. He's fighting a guy coming off a huge layoff. I know that guy's the A side, but man, that's a tough fight. I think Navid Zangane, he's a free square for you guys. He's minus 520, but that's a free square. And then Josh Kowalski probably wins too, but I don't have a ton of interest in that fight. I'm just pretty excited about this Ashley Watkins fight. That's my spot there. The other girl looks pretty small. I know. I need to look up the weigh-ins right now because I imagine it's a huge size difference. Even in the last fight, she was talking about the size difference. And she got a split decision maybe in her first fight. I know she won that fight. Yeah, it was pretty close. Dustin P's sister doing well. Funny. All right, guys. What else we got? I got a little bit of time for you guys. So if you guys got more questions, anything. If you're going to ask me about fights like 2 weeks in advance, I probably don't know. I did, however, play Victor Martinez today, plus 210 against Trevor Peek. Why not? Right? Why not? Geez, my CLV on this BFL card is crazy, and on bare knuckle, super nice. What else we got? Strazella versus Hefnawi. I got to look at that one, man. I got like 80% of the way through the BFL card. And then I got a little bit of fatigue. I had to go swimming or get out of the house, go do something. I started locking in on that PFL card. Let's see. You know, what's so crazy is like a lot of the people. No, Panda, she's not on BetMGM. You're going to have to use Bet Online for this one. Let's see what kind of impact we can have while we're sitting here just on the live. Because I hit her again. She's plus 120 now. It's fun to watch those lines move like that. But I have a pretty big investment. See, I got like 10,000 down right now for the next 2 days. So we'll see how this goes. I'm going to add a little bit more. Honestly, I think Bet Online is going to be my new thing, right? It kind of stops me from making such huge bets like my $2,000, $3,000 bets. It keeps me small, like the 250s, but I have so much more promotions and softer lines that I like it a lot. It's just going to take one. I've been so close every week to just ripping the lid off again. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Per Grande and Impa really helped last night. So let's see. What else we got, guys? Or we'll just end this thing. There's a lot of fights this week. A lot of good lines. All right. Well, I think we're going to end it, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Yeah, Kobe, I just did the whole UFC thing. If you have any specific questions, I can I can answer it. But yeah, I just went through the whole thing, dude. I did. I covered 3 cards: bare knuckle, BFL, and UFC. Alrighty, guys. Jeez, what are your most confident look this weekend? Man, I just answered that a few different times. I'm not going to play big on this. I'm not going to play big on the UFC card. I think all the money is on the regionals. Where's Santino? Santino just went to Tampa, and then he came back, and he didn't have a chance to watch film. I think he started posting some stuff in the Discord. I'm sorry, in the Patreon. Maybe I can tell you guys what Santino's looking at. I think I was going to do that the first time, and I forgot. No worries, Elvis. No worries at all. Oh, Marty OG, you on the Discord, or at least the Patreon. We'll get you on the Discord. Let's see. How do I view the posts? Maybe Santino only has one one of them up. Okay. Do you do any other sports? No, man, I don't do other sports. Here's the thing is like, I I get crushed at other sports. I'm the worst at other sports, and I don't know if it's my ability. I'm not into like analytics. I don't like it's whatever. Like I just bet other sports to have fun. Like I'll go to a hockey game and I'll put 1,000 on whatever. I get super into hockey, but long term, man, I'm a horrible better in other sports. I think MMA is like it's the one thing that I really know well. And I think it's important when you're betting just to be honest with yourself and know what you're good at and what you're not good at, right? Basketball is like such an insane sport variance. It's just like runs and everything. So I don't like betting that. Hockey, I thought I was good at for a long time. And then you go back and look at your picket and you're like, dude, what the fuck? I lost like 20 grand on hockey. So no hockey, no baseball. Occasionally what I'll do, and the guys in the Discord, at least close to me, they know this, is like I'll get hot. So I'll play like unders, like for international basketball. I have this like kind of system that I go through, and I'll make like 5 grand in a day. Like my girl was sitting upstairs slaving on the phones, and I was sitting down at the pool just like betting on international basketball, and I made 5 grand. I actually made 3,000 doing it like last year, and it paid for my ticket to Austria. I got business class to Austria. It was beautiful, paid for by international basketball in one day. But the problem is, just like with anything, you keep going, and then you end up giving it all back and then some. So I made like 5 grand when we just had that break from like fights. And then I started losing. And so I just cut it short. And I think I ended up like 3,000. So sometimes I do it when I'm bored. I'll be honest. I really love, I love betting esports. I don't know why I love betting esports. Great Gringo. I'm like the biggest I love boxing. I don't want to say biggest boxing fan because I don't know all the guys. I love watching boxing almost more than any other sport. Like glory and boxing are my 2 favorite things to watch, way more than MMA. I don't know Taylor, man. I know Teofimo, but I don't know Taylor. So it would be hard for me to give an opinion on that. Yeah, esports, man. I love watching CSGO. It's my favorite. Loma got robbed against Haney. Yeah, Marty, I got lucky a couple weeks in a row. My whole night was kind of hinging on Haney and Amir Albazi, and I got two there. So I'm not mad at it. Gave me a nice little bankroll for this bare knuckle card. Slap fighting, betting lines. That's combat. Yep, slap fighting lines. I only cashed like the first time that they came out on a couple underdogs, and I didn't do any studying at all. I just followed other people's stuff. Teofimo's chin is cooked. He kept getting knocked down by a Spanish soy boy in his last fight. Huh. Jeez, that sucks. I've never been super impressed with Teofimo. I don't know why. Watching him against Loma, even as shitty as Loma fought in that fight, I just was never impressed by him. How do I feel about the main event decision last week? Well, man, that's a really tough one because I can see a case. This is something Santino says a lot. Okay. And honestly, I've experienced when you watch something cage side, it's a lot different than watching it on the TV, right? On the TV, you get the best angle at all times and you don't hear things. One of the most like alarming things, like go to a sparring session, right? Man, I've been fighting since I was 18 and been doing jiu-jitsu even longer than that. And it doesn't matter how long I've done this for. When you hear things in the gym, like you hear a hard leg kick or a hard check hook, it scares you a little bit, like the sound, the actual sound of things. So maybe that's what we saw. I think, honestly, 2 and 3 were clearly Amir Albazi. I think round 1 is going to be the biggest thing because Albazi had forward pressure the entire time. Honestly, his counters were pretty good. He looked really clean. I thought he won 4 minutes and 45 seconds of the first round, right? And then at the very end of the round, Kai starts putting some stuff together and starts throwing combinations, right? So, people can point to that and go, oh, well, he did all the damage, but like, was there any damage? It looked to me like Kai, at least in the first, second, and third round, was hitting a lot of the gloves of Albazi. And Albazi, when he was landing, it was like good punches over the top. I thought he looked a lot cleaner. So I think there's a really good debate to be made for Albazi 1, 2, and 3. Now, I say that as an Albazi ticket holder, but watching it live, I thought Kai, I could see arguments for both sides. I think round one was the biggest thing. So do you value a guy having 4 minutes and 45 seconds of cage control and winning the round and at least threatening takedowns, grappling, having ring generalship? Or do you value the guy coming on in the last 15 seconds and throwing some punches, right? I would tend to lean Amir, but I can see an argument for both sides. Now, giving round 4 to Amir is like one of the most insane things. It's really crazy. Yeah, watching live, it's hard. I guess I separate it like this. Do I think they won versus what do I think the judges are going to think, right? And that's always kind of the debate that I go to. So watching it live, I thought the judges were going to say that Kai won, but I thought that Amir won 1, 2, and 3. Bro, who was the bum that Loughnane lost to last night? Do I prefer watching live? Yeah, I mean, so let's talk about Loughnane. Yeah, that was crazy, man. That dude Pinedo had an insane movement, right? He was just moving nonstop. I just put a small play. I didn't really touch Loughnane. I did really well in the PFL last night, but I didn't touch Loughnane too much. I think I had one small play, and then I bet like his knockout. When I was watching, I was like, man, how is Loughnane going to get a hold of this guy? The guy is crazy and spastic. Like he can't put anything together. He can't get a hold of this guy. The guy is too spastic. And then to see that happen, it's like, yeah, we know that his chin is not amazing. Man, it's sad because Loughnane won $1 million. Million's pretty regular these days, whatever. But man, it's sad. I like Loughnane. I think he's a good guy. He's come into Fight Ready a couple times. He, trained at Alliance for a long time. I've heard nothing but good things about the guy. So it just sucks. That sucks. That's fighting. It's the saddest thing. Do I prefer watching live? Chris, I'll be honest, man. I barely get to watch fights live. Most times, someone asked me earlier, what do I sell? I sell landscapes. So I sell like artificial turf and pavers and rock and stuff like that. So I go to people's backyards, I design it up, and then I sell them right then and there. But my schedule is usually Tuesday through Saturday. So I don't get off work until like maybe 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock, somewhere in that range. So I barely get to watch. When I do, it's exciting. Like tonight, like Fridays, usually I get off early. Today, I'm actually not working at all. So I'm going to get to watch BFL. I'm going to have all the screens and TVs going, and I'm going to go hard. I say like it's going to war. Like when I have time to sit down and watch fights, it's me going to war. Last night at PFL, I hit the Pergrande sub, hit the Montez knockout. Oh, live in person. Chris, I'll be honest, I don't love to watch live in person. Like the view is always a little bit obstructed. I like the commentary. I like listening to people, like to the announcers. And it just feels a little underwhelming for some reason, right? Christian Rodriguez, C-Rod, Viva Latinos, he got free tickets to like the Patty the Batty fight. I don't even remember who headlined that card when he fought Jared Gordon like a few months ago. So he invited me and I went with him. It was such a cool card, and it was fun to be there, at least for the walkouts, but the actual fighting itself, it's like hard to see sometimes, and I don't love it. I did just fly to Denver. I went and watched that bare knuckle card with Mike Perry and Luke Rockhold. Dude, that was electric. I'll tell you, bare knuckle, I don't just say this because like I won the money on bare knuckle, but that's probably one of the best products out there right now. Yeah, I feel the same about NFL games. Yeah, I do too, man. Like I like to watch on TV where I'm comfortable. My house is dope. I just bought like a $3,000 TV. I'm like, why would I spend the money to go there and barely see it and have the shit blocking? Or I can watch it on this nice ass TV and like eat steaks and shit. You know what I mean? The BKFC live show is nuts, man. I thought it was just such good production value. It was probably the best event that I've been to. It was super, super cool. How we doing? Do I make my own schedule? I don't. This is actually like a dream sales job. So basically there's people that call for us and it's like we run ads and then people call in and then our schedulers call, set up the leads, and then just put it on my schedule. So if it's on my schedule, I just go run the lead. If it's not, I don't. Like I don't have to do cold calling. I don't have to do any of that stuff. I just show up at their house. They want to see me and then I try to sell it right then and there. Baseball, one of the sports I like more in person than TV. Kobe, I just got so first of all, DraftKings has been so nice to me. They gave me $1.1 million. And then still to this day, look, they just sent me my summer package. They gave me this bucket hat. They gave me a pool bag. They gave me towels and sunglasses. Like they send me so much shit. They sent me like winter stuff. I'm like Onyx tier. And this is crazy for you guys that play on DraftKings, right? I know Crowns is like the big thing. I really don't even know what the Crowns is about, but I do that like weekly thing. Like every Wednesday, they give you the new thing. I just hit second time. They gave me 500,000 crowns on my like random thing. So I have like 2.9 million crowns on DraftKings right now. And I barely even play it anymore. Did they try to not pay me? No, they didn't. It was actually such an easy process. The thing that I was scared about, so the night that it happened, actually, I was at my friend Jamie's house and everyone in Discord was going nuts because I posted a plus 10,000 that ended up hitting pretty easy. So everybody was making money. I'm sitting here crying. And so when I finally cashed out, so this is interesting because usually they don't grade bare knuckle that night. Like sometimes they'll take like 2-3 hours or they'll grade it the next day. For some reason, it was just fate that night in the middle of the card, they actually graded everything and they offered cash outs. And so my like 17 fight parlay or whatever, they gave me a cash out option and the cash out option was $462,000. And I already had a bunch of other bets that cashed. So I had $600,000 in my account. And I was like, what the fuck just happened? My life just changed. That's pretty crazy. And so I'm like looking around. I was with Little Monster and then a few of my other friends. And I'm like, guys, do I let this ride for the main event or do I cash out and call myself a millionaire? Because the win on that thing, that one bet alone would have been like 800,000. So I would have made like 1.4 million. And actually, I still had a few more bets open too. I had like 5 or 6 more bets open that all would have netted me another like 120,000. But for some reason, they were attached to something that didn't have cash outs. So I just like looked around and I was like, guys, do I just do this? Like $400,000 in a cash out is fucking nuts. Like, all right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to call myself a millionaire. This is not going to happen ever again. I already know they're going to take off the props. So I hit my cash out. Gene Herrera, who actually was Santino's pick. Santino's like, oh, he's going to win easy. And I was like, nah, I think Reggie Barnett's got this one. Gene Herrera ended up getting smoked. It wasn't even a close fight. I'm pissed off at Santino because I would have made like $5 million or more if I would have just kept Reggie Barnett and let it ride out. So, you know, I'm not going to complain about $1 million, like 1.1 million. I'm not going to complain about it, but fuck Santino. You owe me like 4 million, man. You owe me 4 million. Tino's just working this podcast so he could pay me back for that bare knuckle night picking Gene Herrera's bitch ass moving up a weight class. But sorry guys, to get back to the thing about, you know, paying out, they locked my account that night. They locked it. Like I couldn't log in at all. It showed me my balance, but then they locked me out and they're like, you need to file a W-9. So I sat with my locked account for like 2 weeks and, I sat with my locked account for 2 weeks and then I got a hold of my, my tax guy. I was like, what do I do? How can I figure this out? And I filled out my W-9. I thought they were going to pull the taxes out immediately. And I think they actually might have. They pulled out like 200,000 or something or 150,000. But then they ended up giving me the rest of it. So I don't know how that really worked. But it was an easy process. I filled out the W-9 and then they let me right back into my account. I withdrew the money and it was in my account the next day. I got a wire transfer for like 70 grand. And then I think I took the rest just right to my bank. And, yeah, it was like 800 and something thousand. And I sent my mom a screenshot and I was just like, Mom, look, I did it. There's $1 million in my bank account, like my Chase account. Fuck yeah. So yeah, no, it was a super easy process. You win on that stuff. They have to pay. BetMGM is the only person that's ever given me trouble. And I had to go to the gaming commission about that. And then they ended up paying me out and blocking my account. Yeah, they can't just not pay you. Kobe, they can not pay you like that. They try to at least. They can't legally, but they can try. Like MGM had $50,000 and shut down my account. Rich people equals Santino and Brandon. Dude, we're not rich, man. I'm poor again. I'm building from the bottom. I put like half down on a house and I bought a $250,000 tax write-off. If you want $1 million on Bet Online, do you think you're getting paid? Honestly, man, that is my biggest fear. I have a few things open. Like the max you can win in one bet is 150,000. I'm scared to death, like to win. Now I will say there was a guy that used to be in our Discord chat, like when we very first started. Say I think me or Santino was like, "How'd you guys do today?" And he goes, "Good. I made $120,000." And I'm like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" So I messaged him like, "Yo, what are you talking about?" He did like a 3-week parlay or something like that. He did like a 3-week parlay and hit every single thing. And it was like $300 won him like 120,000. And he did it like 2 out of 3 weeks. It was like insane. So he was like showing me his balance. It was like 300 and something $1,000. I couldn't believe it. And they seem to have paid him. So I would hope that Big Dick Dave Mason would do the right thing and pay me out. They've paid me out plenty before. I've taken out, $100,000 out of there collectively. So I don't think that I would have an issue. They're reputable. They used to sponsor the show, but it does worry me, man. Anytime it's an offshore, they can just close your account, no rhyme or reason. And I wouldn't count on having the money. Not like if it was DraftKings. Hey, thanks MMA Locker Room. Yeah, we'll have to get on a podcast soon, man. I watched your one with Casey O'Neill. We'll have to do one soon. Photoshop balances. Who got Photoshop balances? That's the thing, man. There's so many people in this game that talk about like fraudulent and these people are fake and the fake touts. And it's like, dude, guys, look at this shit right now. It still says after winning $1 million last week on BKFC, Brandan has decided to come back. This was our thing and our thumbnail from the Izzy fight. I don't know how to do shit. I don't know how to Photoshop. I don't even know how to run YouTube or go like do a live thing. Like, I don't know. I don't need to fake it to anybody. I've already done my stuff. Yeah. I don't Photoshop. I got the G-Wagon. Dude, some guys were like trying to tell me, there's this guy on Twitter. He's so annoying. Jupiter. He just likes to argue with everybody all times. He's like, you're a fraud and a phony and all this stuff. And I was like, all right, cool. So I had a $350,000 cashier's check and I took a picture of it. And I'm like, it's got my name on it. It's got everything. That way, there's no doubt about it. There's no Photoshop. Is what it is. Paid cash for my G-Wagon, $350,000. Like we're good. I don't got anything to prove to anybody. Jaden Diet, good luck, brother. My favorite player in football is Deshaun Watson, man. Good luck, man. I hope we kill this this Canada card, this BFL card. Why don't you type in if there's anybody that you like, anybody that I missed. I feel pretty good on my plays in BFL, but if there's something that I missed, let me know. If there's some Canada secret, type it in. All right, guys. I think we're gonna put this one to a close. It's been fun hanging with you guys, chatting with you guys. We'll have to do this more often. I really like our studio. But it's getting hot as hell. So Santino is getting a new studio at his house, and we'll start doing pods there. We'll be back to normal. I got a lot more free time these days, so we'll be back to normal, back on schedule. We usually shoot on Mondays, and we try to have it up on Tuesdays, but we've been a little bit slow. And honestly, I haven't loved these cards. All right, thank you guys thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you guys.